I heard my father say it before I even processed the words. We gave your wedding fund to your sister. She deserves a royal wedding. He said it like a victory. Like he expected applause. We were sitting in their living room in Raleigh, North Carolina, sunlight hitting the family photos on the wall, photos where my sister Lily always stood front and center, and I was somewhere blurred in the side. My mother crossed her arms, nodding in agreement, proud. Lily sat straighter, her smile stretching wider, the smile she used when she believed she'd won something. But for the first time, I didn't cry. I didn't beg them to treat me fairly. I didn't ask why. I just looked at Ethan, my fiancé, sitting beside me on the beige couch. He gave me the smallest squeeze on my knee, a signal I had learned meant, stay still. Watch. My father kept talking, your sister's wedding is next month. Big venue. Big guest list. Big everything. She needs it. She's our firstborn. You'll understand when you're older. I was 30. Older was not coming. Then my father said the part that flipped the whole world. You and Ethan can just do a courthouse ceremony. Simple. Affordable. He sounded proud of that idea too. Lily laughed under her breath, the soft kind meant to humiliate quietly. It worked. The air in my chest tightened, but I didn't let them see it. Then Ethan stood up. Calm. Quiet. Controlled. He reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, unlocked it, and said, "Should I tell them what I do for a living?" Lily's smile died instantly. And that was right there, that was the moment everything began. If you've ever had a moment where your whole family showed you who you are to them, tell me in the comments. I want to know I'm not alone. I didn't know it yet, but Ethan had come prepared. And the truth he carried would change everything. People always assume family betrayal comes all at once, like a sudden crash. It doesn't. It comes in little lessons. Growing up in Raleigh, we had what neighbors called a picture-perfect household. Big Sunday dinners, matching holiday pajamas, front porch photos. But the truth behind those pictures was simple. Lily was the sun. I was the shadow. Every decision revolved around her. Every resource went to her. Every conversation ended with, "Don't bother Lily, she has enough stress." When I got into the University of North Carolina with partial scholarship, my father told me, "You can manage. Lily needs the college fund more. Her major is harder." Her major was communications. I worked 2 jobs through college. She studied on a beach towel behind her sorority house. Whenever I asked for fairness, my mother gave the same line. "Emma, be grateful for what you get." Lily came first. So by the time I was an adult, I learned how to shrink myself, how to ask for less, expect less, accept less. But meeting Ethan changed that. He noticed every time I apologized for existing. He noticed when I deferred decisions, when I let my parents' opinions override my own. He noticed when Lily interrupted me during dinner and my parents didn't blink. He noticed. And he didn't like it. Still, nothing prepared me for the wedding fund moment. For the betrayal spoken so casually it sounded like grocery store small talk. Because Ethan wasn't just my fiancé. He was a man who built his career on uncovering the truth, and he had already suspected something was wrong. Ethan had insisted we visit my parents that day. I thought it was to discuss wedding dates and budgets. But later I learned he had a very different reason. For weeks, he'd sensed something hidden in the way my mother dodged questions about the wedding fund she'd promised me since high school. Something off in how Lily acted smug whenever we talked about plans. Something wrong in how my father avoided eye contact when Ethan mentioned vendor deposits. Ethan always said, "People lie in words, not in numbers." And numbers were his specialty. As an attorney specializing in financial disputes, he dealt with people who tried to manipulate money, shift assets, hide transactions. He'd seen patterns. He'd learned the signs. So a week before the visit, while I was at work, Ethan quietly requested an account activity report through my parents' bank's notarized form, something legal, something clean, something available to him because years ago my parents added my name to the wedding savings account for transparency. The transparency ended there. What Ethan discovered wasn't a surprise to him, but it would become a shock to me, and later, a nightmare for my parents. But in that moment, standing in the living room, phone in his hand, the screen glowing, Ethan simply asked, "Should I tell them what I do for a living?" My father's eyebrows pinched, annoyed. My mother huffed, "Oh please, don't be dramatic." Lily fidgeted for the first time. I didn't understand why she looked scared. Not yet. Ethan wasn't bluffing. And he wasn't done. Ethan finally said the words, calm as ever. "I'm a financial and corporate attorney. I handle asset misuse, fund misappropriation, and breach of trust cases." My father blinked, not processing. My mother's smile froze. Lily's fingers began tapping on her thigh, a nervous tic she'd had since childhood. Ethan continued, "And I have the transaction history from the account Emma's name is on." My throat tightened. I didn't know he had done that. I didn't know he could. He turned the phone toward them, not fully, just enough to make them realize he meant it. "I know exactly when the money disappeared," he said softly, "and where it went." My father swallowed hard. My mother's voice cracked, "There's no need for threats." Lily whispered, "Dad." He glared at her. She shut her mouth. "It isn't a threat," Ethan told them. "It's information. And Emma has a legal right to that information, whether you respect her or not." My chest burned in a way I'd never felt. Not hurt. Not heartbreak. It was the beginning of anger, real anger, the kind that doesn't explode, but ignites slowly and cleanly. Still, we didn't erupt. We didn't shout. We let the silence do the work. And in that silence, I realized something important. They weren't worried about the money. They were worried about being exposed. It was the first time I'd ever seen my family afraid of me. When people say humiliation is loud, they're wrong. The worst humiliation is whispered. After Ethan's reveal, my father tried to regain control. He always did. "Emma," he said in a low voice, "you're overreacting. You and Ethan don't need a fancy wedding. Lily's moment is sooner. She deserves the help more." My mother nodded. Lily smirked again. Then Lily leaned toward me, whispering so quietly Ethan couldn't hear. "Honestly, Emma, did you really think they'd spend that kind of money on you?" That line sliced deeper than anything else that day. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was simple. Cruel. Perfectly in character. And it pushed me to a place I had never been before. Because for the first time in my life, I didn't shrink. I didn't swallow it. I didn't pretend I wasn't hurt. I looked her straight in the eye. And for the first time, she looked away. Ethan noticed. He leaned forward and said, "Emma, let's go." My father stood. "Sit back down. We are not done here." Ethan turned to him. "No, sir. You're done." We walked out. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. But I didn't know then that walking out wasn't the end. It was the beginning of the plan. If you're still with me, wow. Thank you. And if this story is hitting something inside you, subscribe so you don't miss the rest, because it gets colder from here. Back in our apartment in Charlotte, I finally let myself break. The moment the door closed, I collapsed onto the couch, burying my face in my hands. I can't believe they did that, I whispered. They didn't even apologize. They didn't even hesitate. Ethan sat beside me, lifting my chin gently. Emma, your parents didn't just take money. They took your dignity. They took your right to dream. They've been doing it your whole life. I know, I whispered. But I kept hoping that they'd eventually choose you, he finished. I nodded. He took my hands. Stop hoping. Start choosing yourself. That was the turning point. The moment I decided I wasn't going to be the quiet one anymore. The moment I decided to stop accepting crumbs. You want justice? Ethan asked. I didn't nod. I didn't speak. I simply breathed, slow, steady, controlled. And he knew. Okay, he said, standing up. Here's what we're going to do. Because Ethan didn't believe in revenge. He believed in consequences. Over the next week, Ethan dug deeper into the account history, legally, cleanly, because I was on the account. What he found made my stomach twist. Not only had my parents drained the wedding fund, they'd been taking small amounts for years, whenever Lily needed something. A spring break trip. A new laptop. A bridesmaid dress. A stress relief spa weekend. And finally, the big one. $23,500 for Lily's wedding venue deposit. My money. My name. My parents' signatures. Ethan printed the statements, highlighted the transfers, and set them on our dining table. Then he said something I'll never forget. Emma, families make mistakes, but this isn't a mistake. This is a pattern. A pattern of them choosing Lily over you because they know you won't fight back. My voice cracked, so what do I do? Ethan smiled. You stop letting them use you. And then you let the truth speak. We didn't plan anything dramatic or destructive. No shouting. No threats. No revenge fantasies. Just a quiet, administrative reckoning. Step 1. Ethan helped me file a formal request with the bank for full account documentation, including authorization signatures. Step 2. We drafted a polite but clear email to my parents. I'm requesting repayment of the funds taken from the account under my name. I will expect a response within 14 days. No emotion. No blame. Just facts. Step 3. Ethan told me, if they ignore it, we escalate. But not in anger, only in documentation. Step 4. We planned a meeting, not in their home where they felt powerful, but in a neutral public place where they couldn't twist the story. A restaurant. Crowded. Bright. Impossible to cause a scene without consequences. Step 5. Ethan gathered everything, statements, emails, copies, timestamps. People can argue feelings, he said. They can't argue paper. We met them at a restaurant in downtown Raleigh. A place with glass walls and quiet music, where every word felt louder because people could hear. My parents arrived stiff and annoyed. Lily walked in behind them in a white jumpsuit, like she wanted to remind me who the bride was. When the waiter left, Ethan opened his folder. My mother whispered sharply, "What is this? Why couldn't we do this in private?" Ethan looked her straight in the eyes. Because privacy is where you twist the truth. I swallowed hard. He was right. He laid out the statements. Highlighted transfers. Dates. Amounts. Lily paled. My father tried to shove the papers back. We're not dealing with this, he muttered. Ethan calmly placed his hand on the documents. You already did. When you used Emma's name without her consent. My mother hissed, you're humiliating us. No, Ethan said. You did that yourselves. Then he turned to me. Emma, tell them what you want. My voice shook, but not from fear, from strength. I want my money back. All of it. And I want you to stop treating me like I'm disposable. Lily scoffed, you're being dramatic. Ethan looked at her. No. She's being clear. My father clenched his jaw. You're threatening legal action? Ethan smiled politely. I'm stating the options. Repay the money, or we move forward formally. Either works. Their faces drained, because for once, someone wasn't afraid of them. The restaurant was so quiet I could hear forks clinking 3 tables away. Then something unexpected happened. Lily stood. I'm not giving up my wedding. If she wants her stupid money, take it from Mom and Dad. My mother grabbed her arm. Sit down. Lily pulled away sharply, loudly enough that people looked over. And in that moment, the world finally saw who she truly was. The meeting ended with no conclusion. My parents said they needed time. Lily stormed out crying. But consequences don't wait for comfort. When we got home, Ethan helped me send a follow-up message summarizing the meeting and the repayment timeline. 3 days later, my father responded with a single sentence. We will not be paying you back. That was the moment he sealed his own fate. Ethan nodded when he read it. That's all we needed. Then he filed a formal demand letter, nothing aggressive, nothing emotional. Just legal clarity. Suddenly, everything changed fast. My parents called repeatedly. My mother begged us to keep this in the family. Lily sent a long text accusing me of ruining her wedding. Relatives started messaging me, confused, curious. Because Ethan had included one important detail in the letter. The transactions were legally traceable. And if the issue escalated, the family would know why. My parents cared more about image than honesty. Within a week, my father offered to a compromise. Half the money. Ethan rejected it instantly. 3 days later, they offered 75%. Rejected again. Finally, on day 14, they transferred 100% of the money back into my account. With a note from my mother. We hope you're happy now. I was. But not for the reasons she thought. With the money restored, Ethan and I started planning the wedding we actually wanted. Small. Warm. Real. People who loved us, not people who tolerated us. We moved the venue to Asheville, in the Blue Ridge Mountains. A quiet ceremony surrounded by nature, sunlight on our faces, the kind of day that feels like breathing for the first time. I invited my parents and Lily out of courtesy. They declined. Lily wrote. I can't believe you stole from me. You're selfish. I didn't reply. Not because I was angry. Because I no longer needed anything from her. Our wedding was perfect. Not because of the decorations or the dress or the food. It was perfect because, for the first time in my life, I chose myself. People think justice feels loud. It doesn't. It feels quiet, steady, like your heartbeat finally matching your own rhythm. I didn't destroy my family. I didn't expose them publicly. I didn't scream or fight or collapse. I simply stopped letting them use me. And sometimes, that's all the revenge you need. Final CTA number 3. If this story touched something in you, if you've ever had to choose yourself even when it hurt, tell me in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe, because your voice matters here. In life, the people who count on your silence are the ones who fear your truth the most. And when you finally choose to speak, calmly, clearly, with integrity, you don't just reclaim your power. You reclaim yourself.